Shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome. Thank you for being here. It is good to be here. Give me one moment. All praises to the Most High YAHAWAH. Shalom. Shalom. All right. Shalom, brothers and sisters. All praises to the Most High YAHAWAH. Welcome. It is good to be here. Thank you for being here. Oh man, I took those things off. She put them here again. There we go. Now, brethren, since today is Wednesday, and I have a very strict schedule, so I'm gonna try to go to this as fast as I can. And we're going to do this, brothers. We're gonna give it another 2 more minutes. Now, 1 more minute, shalom, and then we're going to begin. Brothers, a lot of those things are happening so fast. A lot of things are happening so rapidly. And we see people are starting to give up hope. Well, they didn't have hope. You know, everything is not the way they thought because of the whole vax thing. Now, I see there's a company, and she was my bush again. Damn it. There's a company in Nevada, Las Vegas, that offering $1 million to their employees so they can take the vax because not enough people are taking it. They need at least 80% of the employees to take the vax. So that's not what that's not what you people said that was going to happen. You did tell people this thing is 99% effective. Shalom, welcome, brothers. No. $1 million each. Oh, hell no. $1 million in bonuses. And if it's a hotel, it's a casino. if the casino have like 1,000 workers, probably like 1,000 or 2,000 workers, probably somebody will receive like 500 or $1,000, and then they are desperate. People don't want this because things are not. It's not. It's not as you
Losing
guys
10.
made it
Green. Sample
look like. You
manipulator.
guys did say, yeah, that thing was going to be like 99% effective. So, and then I'm looking at the camp, and then I'm looking at the other people. I'm like, okay, how could you guys call this the RFID chip? Oh, yeah, it got a secret chip in it. You don't know it's a secret chip. None of this thing was prophesied. They'll put something secret in there. No, no, it was supposed to be forced upon you. That is because it already been dead. Ever since they got here in 1492, they forced their mark of the beast upon us because they wanted us to worship their fake Christ, their fake God, which we did. So now we reject the chip, and then we're back to where we at. Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. Tonight I'm gonna see if I can make a video. Now, brothers, because time is short in my hand, and I'm gonna do the best that I can. So we will study, brethren, and the book of the pillars of fire. What did Egypt used to do? Their preparation, their routine, their customs. Is it similar to what we have, or do they still doing this type of thing as of today, as of nowadays? You will see, brethren, in this book and this letter, specifically letter 11, page 123 of the Pillar of Fire. You will see, brothers, there are quite similarity between the war preparation and battle formation. And you will understand this battle formation that we have here, it's the same thing that's going on here. This battle preparation, so to speak, it's the same thing that going here. You'll see how things got started way too fast, way too promptly, and way too unexpectedly. But it did happen. Now, brethren, let us read. This is Sesostris writing to his mother, Epiphia, Queen Epiphia of Phoenicia. And this is what his son said to him, brothers. My beloved mother, in my last letter, I narrated a conversation between Prince Rameses and myself upon the myth of Egypt and Phoenicia and other subjects while being born in his galley from the Memphis bank of the river down to the island of Oda. All right. So now they are in the island of Woda, and they are there, and he's writing to his mother again, brethren. This is a son writing to a mother, and the mother is kind of like, yeah, she's kind of like huckling him. She's kind of like bugging him about certain things, like certain stuff mother does all the time. Really, they really don't know about the men of the land and their war and all that. They want to know about the women, things like that. I have already described this beautiful isle and spoken of it, the favorite residence of the queen. So the queen really does love this island that she is. Okay, she's like this is her favorite. This is her favorite part. She likes to being here because she wants to stay away from the big city and having a whole island by herself so she can just relax. Remember, she was sick. It is situated nearly midway between her two chief cities, On, and Memphis, both of which of one of the west and the other in the east are in sight. So Those are the island is situated in both of those cities. So now in the island you got Ramesses, Queen Amensis, Sesostris, and couple other people. They are there in the island, and then they are chilling. And this is what happened, what they were in there. I wrote you a letter day before yesterday, my dear mother, after my return from a very interesting visit to the plain of Memphis. Within whither the prince went in his stage barge to review the 80,000 soldiers encamped there. So now, brothers, what you need to understand that even before all of those things, even before Moses was crowned or anointed to be the quote unquote the savior of that time that's going to take his people from Egypt to the promised land, which he didn't. He actually fell. Okay, Joshua was the one who complete the mission. He put them halfway because, of the whole scumbag stuff the two-third was doing. When you look at Moses' background as Ramesses, brothers, the Musa, all those things that happened, those were preparation. All those things that happened, those were things that Musa put him to. He went in there and then saw survey and come in 80,000 soldiers, brothers. How many of you that can say this? How many of you that can stand there and say, once in my life, I was the head chief captain of 80,000 people? Not any of brothers. Listen, only few CEO can say they were the head of a company that hired 80,000 people. So now you see the reason the Musa had to, through Ramesses, Moses, and this type of thing, so we'll get prepared. So when we'll have somewhere around 3 million people with him. I believe when they got out of Egypt, there were somewhere around 3 million people. Now you need a great experience. You need to be a soldier, brothers, to guide 3 million people on foot from one place to another. And it is scary. That is why nobody did want any of our people pass through their land, because we were scared. 3 million people walking around, and you heard what that guy did. Nobody didn't want to take us in, not even our brother, our own brother Esau. He pushed us away. Moab sent Balaam or Balaam to curse us. It would take a man of character, a man of strength, especially a man of experience, to go on this type of mission. That is why the Musa had to do this. I will devote this letter to an account of a second visit and a description of the scene I witnessed, and a narration of the event which transpired. Early this morning, when the Queen and Ramesses and I were about to seated at our repast. Now, brothers, can somebody define this word repast or repas, which is French? R-E-P-A-S-T, repast or repas. Early this morning, listen good. Early this morning, when the Queen and Ramesses and I were about to be seated at our repast, and as the pious custom of the Egyptian of all ranks is, Ramesses having just asked the blessing of the gods before partaking. Okay, repast or repa mean dinner. So they're all about to eat. All right, thank you. They were about to eat a meal. So everybody sit at the table. But before they sit, Moses asked, quote unquote, the gods to bless the dinner. Okay? To bless the stuff. So this is what happened. Ramesses, as a pious custom of the Egyptians of all ranks, is Ramesses having just asked the blessing of the gods before partaking. Lo! Prince Moheris, Lord of the table, he come in unannounced, accompanied by his favorite lion, which always follow his footsteps and stalks by his side, and say with bluntness unsuited to present, Your Majesty, I have come to say to you that I am ready to wait and commence my voyage in the cataracts. I have awaited your orders, and please. Scumbag, man. You got the whole royal family. You got Ramesses, Sesostris, the queen, the high general sitting at the table. The food is prepared. They are about to pray, to eat. And out of nowhere, that scumbag Moeris come out. Unannounced, uninvited. He didn't even say good morning. He just busted in there. Your Majesty, I have come to say to you that I'm ready to weigh anchor and commence my voyage to the cataracts. I await your orders and pleasure. And everybody just turned like, and he had a freaking lion, but this guy always have a freaking lion. He was walking there with a freaking lion. And then he had a tame lion walking by his side. Not only he came there, brothers, he came there with 6 other people, half a dozen of other people. And he didn't even wait, because you know the protocol, brothers. The protocol says if you, well, it's kind of, there you go. Oh boy. Okay. Oh boy, that thing is, there you go, let's go. The protocol say, brethren, if you are approaching a king, a queen, or anybody else, brothers, there is certain things you have to do. First, a chamberlain or one of the page have to announce you. Prince Moeris is approaching. Somebody have to announce you. First, somebody have to invite you. If someone did not invite you, you have to send a letter. Tell this person you're coming to see him. He didn't do that. He just busted in there with a freaking lion, 6 other dudes, and then he tell the queens he's ready and stuff like that. So everybody was like, you know, brothers, it's just, have you ever been somewhere in a group or in the middle of people, whether at a dinner or you were like in a place, you see somebody acting so immature, like so uneducated. They have no savoir-vivre or no savoir-faire. They will just stand there, for instance, at a DMV place. Everybody's silent. They're waiting for something. Then you got one scumbag opening his mouth wide in the phone, laughing, talking to somebody. And you have to get one of those people say, sir, no phone allowed here. Have you ever been somewhere in a bus or in a train and one scumbag is there talking to another person? You can actually hear the conversation they are having, which you're not interested in. Straight up ignorant, man. It's just like those people, they're so loud. You're like, yo, I don't want to hear your conversation that you are having with these people. That's exactly, you feel, brothers, the worst embarrassment is when you feel embarrassing for someone else. Brethren, that's the worst embarrassment, when you just sit there in the middle of a bunch of people and then somebody coming over there and shear their throat and scream and laugh. I gotta tell you, man, this picture on my phone, man, it's saying I didn't stop, man. And everybody just sit there like, who's this dude? In your heart, in your head, in your mind, you're like, yo, shut the fuck up, man. You're embarrassing me, man. You don't even know the person, but you feel so embarrassed for that person. And when he did that, brethren, when he interrupt people, he didn't even say good morning, no hello. And he just like, boom, he interrupt. And then the queen, brothers, it's not like There are things people do, brothers. They did this on purpose. Some of them, brothers and sisters, whether we want it or not, those people, we call them attention whore. Some of those people do this type of things so they can get attention. Look at me. It's not about me. Everybody here pay attention to me. I'm in the phone, I'm talking to someone, and I want you to hear what happened to me last night. And I want you to hear what happened to me privately in the doctor room. How that doctor look inside my portal, and then somehow they find a tomato in there and stuff. It's like, wow. And he did this on purpose, brothers. And the queen looked at him with a distasteful look, and the queen said, I'm glad, Prince, that you have been so diligent. Said immensely coldly, when will you depart? The queen give him oh, hey, what's okay, well, whatever. So I'm very glad that when are you going? Within the hour, my warrior aunt. Brothers, understand why he did this. Listen, within the hours, my warrior hunt, if Ramesses, my warlike cousin, wishes to cooperate with me at Thebes, he will not long delay marching his army forward. I hear by swift galley just arrived that the fierce Ethiopian king Okoris, with half his mighty host, has already dared to enter the Tanite province and Manasseh's Thebes. That was his plan all along. You see those people, brothers, those narcissists and those type of people, what they do, brethren, they throw you off of your emotion. They feed on your emotion. They will say something very offensive, and then they will say, I'm just playing with you, man. I'm just saying, man, I'm playing with you. So when he said that, he interrupted the king, the queen. The queen said, okay, when are you leaving? He said, I'm leaving now. But I was wondering if Ramesses, or aka Moses, will join me, because the fierce king of Ethiopia, half of his army is already here to attack Egypt. And then Ramesses jumped out of the table. And then Ramesses said, there's no time to waste. He grabbed his sword. Everybody, the Ethiopian about to attack the Egyptian. So Ramesses jumped out of the table and said, no time to waste. And he grabbed the sword. He put the sword in, put his helmet, and then he put his gauntlet and stuff, and kissed his mother, the queen. So the queen don't want him to go because they are mothers. And the queen said, if it wasn't Ramesses that slowly detached himself from the queen would not let him go. The queen hugged him and said, my son, please don't go to war, don't go to war. And then Ramesses said, I have to go, mother. And he kissed his mother, and then he left. And at the moment the sorceress left, and Moheris with his freaking lion and 6 other men, okay? And then they left. The reason why he does that, brothers and sisters, is because there is a war. And Ramesses had nothing to do with this war. He actually provoked the family, and he tricked Ramesses or Moses to drain him. Why? And hope if something happened to Ramesses, he is next in line. And Ramesses caught that. Brother, our people, they were born smart, and Ramesses caught this just like that. Boom, everybody run out, all the soldiers, swords, helmet and stuff, and then they jump in a shape, and then they go ahead for battle preparation. And this is how they prep, they do the preparation, okay? All right. Let me see where we were. Okay, let me see. The guess. Hmm. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Okay, all right, Prince Muharis. All right. Now, listen, good brothers. You know, Sesostris, he's a stranger. Now, Sesostris felt what he did it on purpose. Anybody that was there, you will know. And Sesostris asked Moses. He said, he looked at Moses. He looked at Moses on the way, and Moses tell him, there comes a prince, my Sesostris, says Ramesses, to me as he surveyed the advancing front of war, who is I should fall in this Ethiopian expedition will be Pharaoh of Egypt when my mother's dies. Ramesses tell him straight up, he says, see, Sesostris, this prince, Moheris, that guy, he's the guy, if I fall in battle, he will be the Pharaoh when my mother dies. And the prince and Sesostris look at Moses and say, well, surely Moses, there's something, surely Ramesses, there's something you can do about it. Maybe you can put a word, because this dude, he's nothing but trouble. I can see it in his eye and his way he's talk. He's nothing but bad news. And Ramesses said, there's nothing I can do, because my mother have a fear of this man. My mother is definitely afraid of him. If he know for a fact he could get away with it, he would have killed my mother a very long time ago. If he know how to do it properly without being suspected, he would have killed me and my mom and take over power. And when my mother died, because there's Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, there's two crowns. He's the dude that is in Upper Egypt, which means nothing, but it's still a threat. My mother is in Lower Egypt, Southern Kingdom, and when she die, the two crown will go upon one head or both. Remember what he said, brothers. Remember what Moheri said. He made a funny joke. He said, my dear cousin Ramesses, he told Moses, when the queen, if the God took the queen early, she will leave two crown. And those crown, they're gonna go in one person head. And then he said, Moses, you have a very big head. That won't be a problem for you. He insulted Moses. So when Sesostris asked, what are you going to do with this guy? Brothers, what he did right there was a threat. The queen did not understand, but Moses as a soldier and Sesostris as a soldier, they understand what this guy did. You never, when you go into, that's formality. When you go into battle, you never invited a family member or a friend to go to battle with you, especially if the battle is your responsibility. When you politely invite somebody into a battle with you that has nothing to do with this person, you technically want that person dead. Yes, sweetie. Yeah. Forgive me, brothers. At 9:30, I might briskly left. So, Sesostris, while they were galloping in the chariot, they were going one places, brothers, so they can get things going on. And then when they were in the chariot, so Sesostris said, well, Ramesses, if something happened, let's say, God forbid, the gods took your mother, what would you do? And Ramesses, with the cold, he said, I'm intended to wear both crown. Brothers and sisters, Jews and Gentiles alike. Moses was cold, man. Moses was an OG. Moses told us straight and answer. The Sesostris said, but what if the queen died? What would happen? Will you share both crown with this dude, this scumbag. Will you share with him? Moses just look at Sisoshes with a cold face and say, I'm intended to wear both crowns. God, it's like, wow. Moses didn't play that. He was cold. And Sisoshes look at him and Sisoshes like laugh, and then they both laugh, and then they left. So now you got Moheris setting up Moses. I mean, brothers, you have to go in depth to understand what he did here. He intended to do that to bring Moses in a battle that he know for a fact that this battle is his section, and then he want Moses to go ahead and fight, and I hope he will die, so we will go ahead and kill the queen and become foul. And then they're going to do battle preparation, brothers, because the Ethiopian king, okay, the Ethiopian king is about to attack the Egyptian kingdom. All right. This is the type of thing that was going on back there. A score of horsemen. Let me see. Give me a second, brothers. Crap. Okay. Oh boy. That's a lot. All right. Now, they were going to get battle preparation. Now, understand this, brothers and sisters. People don't go to war like that, brothers. People don't go to war. You don't just wake up, you said you're going to invade another country. You don't just wake up, you said you're going to rob a bank. You just don't do this. There's preparation. You just don't go ahead, you say, I am going to, quote unquote, take somebody on a boat ride. First, where are you going to get the boat? How are you going to take this person on the ride? And when you do, there will be question asked. Are you going, but the most important thing, are you going to be successful? Should you even go take that person on the ride? There were things, brothers. You will understand why all those things has to do. So now, Ramesses, Sesostris, they all get together with the high generals and stuff like that. A bunch of battalion men. You got spearmen, you got slingers, you got swordsmen, knife men, heavy haters, chariotsmen, bowmen. You got guys that are bringing medical supply. You got all those things, and then all of those guys, brothers, move like a massive black land mass, and they were going to a city, and then they were marching, and Moses was at the head of them. They are not going to the war yet, brothers. You don't go to war like that. Understand this. You see, before World War I, World War II, and all those things, war just happen simultaneously like that. They just plan. You plan a war. Whatever war that is, it is planned. And first, you have to go ask the blessing, am I going to succeed in this war? You just don't go to war back then with your own strength, on your own strength. Every country had their own gods. The Ethiopian, they were idolaters. Okay, this is page 128. Page 128. And every people have their own way of doing things. This is the way of the Egyptian. Now, Amunophis, Amensi, father, the guy that killed all the firstborn, the king that died with his body turned into maggot. He smelled, he stink for years. He threw up blood and poop. He died They couldn't even bury that guy. He died somewhere. He smelled so bad that they just leave him there until animal eat his body and all that. This dude, he erected a temple, a specific temple. This temple could be said the Pentagon, so to speak. Before any country go to war, especially the United States, they have what they call the Pentagon. Everybody have to come around, call the president, call the high chief and stuff, and then certain things happen in there. I don't even know. But based on what we're going to read here, and we know how those people do things. Remember, brethren, back 2-3 months or 4 months ago, we had a witch. Her name was Paula White. She was out there doing nonsense and sending spells and stuff like that, so Trump could win the election. You see, those people don't do things like that. Before they do things, brothers, there's a lot of things that happen. They committed a lot of sacrifices. They don't just go to do things like that. They are routine. We are the only people that go march and go to war without even calling upon our God. They beat us up. They shoot one of our brothers. They shoot one of our sisters. We don't gather around and say, what we're going to do about this? Let us call the Musa. His face is turning upon us. Father, they kill one of your child. First, is he innocent? Is he one of us? Should we go to war with those people? And if we do, will you bestow victory upon us? We don't do that. Most of our people are scumbag. They just took the street and then they go fight with those people. Those people don't do this. They go to their priests. They got their people. They do stuff. They were organized. This is how you do things. This quote-unquote Pentagon that Egypt had over there was built by Amenophis. Before anything, any war, any stuff have to happen, they go to this Pentagon to look for guidance. It was erected in this martial plan by Amenophis I for the purpose of sacrifice and oblations and the offer libation and incense for armies assembled about it before marching and warlike expeditions. So they got a specific temple there to sacrifice when you're going to army. That is why when Saul, damn that Saul, man, he messed us up. That is why when Saul was about to go to war with the Philistine, he was waiting on Samuel. So Samuel will come, Samuel will perform the sacrifice and call YAHAWAH, call the Musa and tell the Musa, are we going to have victory? Should we go fight those people? Are you going to fight for us? Are you going to have the victory for us? Saul could not wait. He was impatient. He went in there, he grabbed the knife, he pushed the people, he slew the victim. He spilled the blood, he swagger jacked Samuel's offices. As a king, you're not a priest. He now, therefore, a king and a priest. That's when the Messiah said, that's it, he's done. I'm out of this dude. He disobeyed me. That's it. He didn't wait for Samuel. Now they come to this temple, brothers. All the high general, all the general coming, all the high dudes. This is not the soldiers stand outside God. They see what's going on, but the big wigs, the big dogs came in, especially Moses and stuff like that. So they came in, and then they come into the temple, and then they are waiting. This is very important, brothers. That is what Saul did not want to do. He didn't want to wait. You have to await the priest, the high priest, to come and tell you what's going to happen. King Saul didn't wait. This is what happened. Excuse me. The chief. Now, while I'm describing this, brothers, anybody that you catch my drift, just put the name in there. Yeah, you gotta be tactical, man. Our people they are never tactical. They never make any plan. They are very unorganized. Just go out there and shoot people. It doesn't work like that. The chief priest of Mars, who is a prince in rank and allied to the throne, attended by more than 100 inferior priests, advanced from the inner shrine upon the marble terrace, and the center of which stood the iron column pavilion, then enclosed the shrine of the god. Now, you got the chief priests. We call this guy the high priest, such as Aaron and Samuel. You got this chief priest, this high priest, he's coming. This high priest is coming, and then everybody just open. The whole soldier at one come in, they all open. Boom. And then this priest is coming, and then he's walking in there. This is how he dressed. Anybody please put the name in there, how he was dressed, who he was. Oh, what kind of, how we call those dudes? He was attired in a grand and imposing costume, having a tiara adorned by a winged sun. He had a crown on his head, page 128 in the book. He had a crown like a regal, a tiara. He had a crown in his head, adorned by wing, sun sparkle with jewelries and the sacred Uarius encircling his brow. So he had a crown on his head, and then he got all kind of symbol, and around his crown. All kind of jewelries. And he wore a flowing robe of whitest linen. He had a white robe, a very long white robe, descending to his feet, a long white robe. A loose upper cape of crimson descended to his feet. He was wearing a long white robe and a long red cape, crimson, like Superman. A long red cape, which has the cape were like attached with two golden sun in his chest. So the cape descended on his back, and then he was wearing a long white robe. A loose upper cape of crimson embroidered with gold and having flowering sleeve and upon and over the robe. So he wore a long white robe and a crimson cape, the long sleeve with all kind of like schematic, all kind of symbols in the sleeve made out of gold, a royal garment, okay? Still above this was a breastplate of precious stone. Like Superman had a breastplate. The breastplate that Superman wore has an S on it. It's the family symbol, mean hope. This dude had a breastplate. This breastplate have all kind of jewelry in it. Still above, this was a breastplate of precious stones. So the breastplates had a bunch of precious stones. In the form of corselet, while the tiara partook also of the martial form. So the crown that he had was a military crown. It wasn't some of the tiara like freaking Ishbosheth was wearing, or the women. It was like a military. It's like, when Samuel L. Jackson wore Kangol and stuff, what he had in his head was a military form. It was a military thing. Understand this, what's going on, brothers. All those things was started by Abraham. Even before, that's why the Most High have to gather our people in a separate place and then taught us those things, because it was all those things were teaching. Abraham taught them, Melchizedek taught them, Abraham taught them, and then later on Moses and Aaron had to taught them. In the form of corselet, while the tiara partook the martial form, being shaped like a helmet with the sacred arcs of gold projecting in front as a visor. Damn! This dude was dressing like a man. His crown looked like a helmet, and it had a visor in front with gold and all that, a red cape, a white robe, and then he had like all those long sleeve with all those markings in there, and then he's coming. Above, a druid. They are describing a druid here, brothers. A druid. If you read, for those of you that download the Beloved Brother Big Judah thing he put on Patreon, this is exactly what he's describing here. How the way the druid were dressing, and that is why people always say that the Bible was copied from the Egyptian, the Babylonian, and stuff like that. No, our people ruled those people before. They left them everything. We were slaves back then. We didn't know anything about that. That's why the Musa had to reteach us how to get those things. We didn't copy from them. They copied from us. Now this dude, full bearded, walking, and then he's coming. Very slowly he's walking, and then all the soldiers standing there guard, and then he's walking into the temple. Above all this, hanging from his left shoulder was a splendid leopard skin. On his left side, he had like a coat, like a cover of a leopard skin. A leopard skin, all right? A beautiful leopard leopard a leopard skin, you know, like a portion of it was made of a skin. And his left side, just like in the movie Coming to America, when Akim's father, the king, had a giant lion on this side. Again, all those stuff we've been doing this, but it was much more elegant. But this one was leopard. You can see the dots and stuff like that. Leopard skin, heavy with border of closely woven rings of gold. This leopard skin, the border, the tip of the border is woven, and it's like it's woven with gold. Gold, woven with gold, rings of gold. And then he was like, the ring was like clinging when he was walking. You can hear the sound of the rings, the ring of gold. As he advanced, he extended in his right hand a short sword. He's coming. He had a short sword in his hand. And then everybody just standing there. The hilt of which was a crux, like a cross. Well, the ink or ankh, whatever. Or the sacred cross shape. Teo or Tahoe, summoned by a ball, the whole being of emblem of life, a sacred sword, which while his helmet toward as symbol of truth and order, two ostrich's feathers, the evidence of symmetry, with which the feathery filaments grow on each side of their stern, having suggest of the Egyptian the adoption of this emblem for order and truth according to Egypt philosophy. So this dude was a high priest, and he was dressing like a royalty high priest, because he was a high priest, and he coming here with a short sword in his right hand. Having reached the foot of the lofty terrace, upon which was an altar of brass, he raised his left arm by throwing back the superb leopard skin and mantle. So he threw his left arm, and then the leopard skin fell on his back. And elevating his commandment from its full grandeur, he turned slowly round, pointing the heavenly, and with his left hand and holding his sword, as he were over the army, as he turned until with he swept a circle on the horizon. So that was a ceremonial thing he does. And then he throw the leopard skin over, and then he turned around. He spread his arm. He had the sword, and then he made an imaginary circle around the whole army. That was a ceremonial thing that he did. He made a whole circle around the army. And the all guys that were there, and they all slowly bowed themselves. This was an invocation to all the gods for a blessing upon the assembled hosts. During the act, every general bow his head or is receiving it. Every soldier lower his weapon, and all his conclusion, all the music band and the army before him simultaneously burst into overwhelming sound of drums, trumpets, cornets. Because brothers, back then, when you go into war, you go with your band, with the musical band, playing music. There's people who used to fight, and they are playing music. Each music tell them what to do. The music used to confuse the enemy. So when he did this, and then the whole army bursted like with a loud cry, and everybody just bowed. So he stayed there. The high priest, facing the shrine, the altar, stood while a company of priests Roll out from the door of the temple the statue of the god clad in full armor, steel, and laid with gold, a jewel with helmet upon his head, and a spear in his right hand. It was a gigantic size, and standing in the attitude of battle upon the lofty chariots of burnishment brass with wheels of iron. So when he does this, and then the army did this, they sent the signal, two door open, and then they are wheeling a big ass statue there. This is how the Egyptian does. Before they do anything, they go to their gods. Again, they will explain this. So they roll out a giant statue of a god-like statue. So, and this statue, brother, they just put the statue standing there, and then it was made out of gold and all that things. And then they all come, all the generals come, they start putting flowers. Some of them put swords, some of them put jewelry, some of them put a piece of their sandals, some of them put little parchment that has like words written in it. People put flowers. All the high generals came in, they put things, they made an offering to this quote-unquote god. And when Sasashi saw that, and Ramesses said, what you are seeing here, that's not what it is. They are not making a sacrifice to this statue. They are appealing to the higher power. This is a way of them to communicate. Technically, they are going to war, and they made a phone call. They use a phone, made a phone call, and rigged the game on their favor. Now they're using the phone to make a payment, to processing the payment. Some people come in and give credit card numbers, some writing checks and stuff like that. That doesn't mean they give it exactly to the phone. They'll give it to the person at the end of the phone. So this statue was like was a doorway for them to communicate to one higher power. That's what Ramesses was telling them. So, and then he said, that's what it is. And then he said, you see the other people over there, the other low classes, when they do that, they mean exactly what they meant. They meant when they put that thing right at the statue, they give it to this specific stone statue. That was their god. But when the soldiers did, they don't leave it there for the statue. They leave it there in honor of that great power they are worshiping. All sort of things, brothers. Battle of wine, beautiful stuff. They made a sacrifice. The Most High require our priests to do one sacrifice, like a goat or bullocks or stuff like that. Even Balaam or Balaam had to make a sacrifice of bullocks. Those are sacrifices they got before they go to war, brothers. Remember, the Ethiopian is already at the doorstep. And then they are putting stuff and all that. And then all those people come in, they put things. They put flower, chains of gold, lotus leaf made of ivory, and sparkling jewelry, skirting upon his imitation or dewdrop, some bow swords and spears and plumes. Everybody put a little something in there. Every single person that are here, you put something. If you didn't have anything, you had this on your head, you put it there. If you didn't have anything, you got this watch, you put it there. You have to give something. Something for something. For every action, there's a reaction. That's what they were doing. Give me a second. I'm trying to go to this until 9 o'clock. So I'm trying to do this as fast as I can. Let me see where I'm at. Okay. Now, when the chief captain had presented their offerings, the high priest had either decorated the god with them or laid them upon the altar of brass. Then came the Nubian slaves, laden with gift of the soldiers. That was the high captains. And then now you got the Nubian slaves, the Nubian employee coming for the soldiers. Now those were all the soldiers that were outside giving stuff, and then all the soldiers bring the slave came in, and then they were giving stuff to this god that they had in there. And Sasash to tell the mother, say, mother, there's so much stuff. If I sit down there, I can't even number them. They are too much. They put giant vase and stuff like that, all of them. When all these offerings has been received by the high priest, again, brothers, the high priest have to be there to receive it. Now you understand why the so-called Christian church always has something in the back church that said, support our troops. Now you understand when the troops going to war, people are giving donations and left and right. Now you understand why the evangelical church or so-called Christian, like the army, oh, he served the country, pepper spray his ass. Well, he's not one of us, doesn't look like us. How you know if you serve the country? Ain't not one of us. Now you understand why those people are giving money like this. No, they don't give it just like that. Those are blessing offering they do. Our brothers served this country. Remember back in 1910 when our brothers came back from the war, they lynched them in their own uniform, in the army uniform. They burned, beat, killed, they hanged them in public, taking picture upon them. I made a video about that in public. Those were our people. And somebody out there, oh, we gotta show love and stuff. Yeah, all right. That's what that is. Go over there. Go upon the Mosai loin and go show love to your enemy. Yeah, because the Mosai love wickedness. That's not what that means. Yeah, they killed a brother. He just came from the war. That is why a bunch of black men, they stay in Europe. They stay in France, especially in France. They didn't want to come back there because they had respect in Europe. They didn't want to come back to America. They were hearing what our people was suffering. They didn't want to. A lot of them went back in the island in Haiti and Jamaica. They just stayed there. A lot of our brothers that went to the Philippine War, they never came back. That's why I see a lot of Filipino down there. They're like, what the hell? This dude look like one of the fellow in the hood. When all this offering was made, brothers, and while the prince of his officers stood some paces to one side, he stood before the altar, and one article from each vase being brought up to him, he laid it upon the altar and in a solemn manner invoked the God, asking him to accept the offering of this great army and his prince and captain, and to grant them victories over their foes, and to return their queen crown with conquest and glory. This is very important. This is deadly important. Now you understand, brothers, why the first thing when those guys are going to election, the first place they call is the religious side. They call your pastors, they call your preachers, they call your religious leaders, because those are their high priests. They're asking for the blessing. They're asking the people for the offering. Now you understand when he asked him, listen, they took all those offering. He asked the God, will you accept? Will you? You cannot just come over there and then took it. Will you accept this offering? Will you, when they say accept, they mean, will you have respect on this offering? And if you do, will you give victory to the queen, to the armies? And then when the crown come back, will it come back with glory and the full crown with victory? That is why when Adam told Cain and Abel, aka Abel, so to speak, to have an offering, both of them made the offering, but the Most High did not accept both offering. He had respect unto one. The Most High doesn't look unto your offering that you brought. He doesn't look on the physical thing. He look unto your heart. When he looked unto Cain's heart, he saw Cain did not even want to give the Most High even the worst fruit. Cain specifically and purposely brought all sort of bad stuff. He brought all the worst fruit to the Most High. He brought the things he didn't even want. And then even that he did in his heart is like, why on earth I have to give God, this dude, the food that I walk with my own strength that my land give me? Why should I give it to him? Even that. But Abel bought his best of this flock, the fattest, the best. And then he bought it. And the Most High had respect and accept Abel, and he rejected Cain. He got jealous, so the Most High give Abel the priesthood through Adam, the priesthood of heaven, from the Most High to Adam, Adam to Abel, Abel died to Seth, Seth to his line all the way to Melchizedek to Abraham, Abraham to David, and to all of us. Will you accept this sacrifice? That's why when we pray, fast, at the end we sanctify the fast. We ask the Most High, please look upon this fast with respect. The Most High may not have respect on your fast, man. Did you truly uncover your heart? The Most High may not have respect on your fast, on your prayers, man. You have your head covered, not your physical head, your heart covered. So that is why the priest asks, will you accept this stuff? Brothers, only a cook, you just give him money and then you expect him to do his job. Some of the time, our people go to the high priest, they're going to go to war, and then the high priest contact the Musa say, no, don't go to war. And everybody go to war. They don't go to war. Because the Most High say, no, I will not give you victory. For those of you who remember, there is a quote-unquote a group of brothers down there in Miami. They are called the Zorpound. Are you familiar with the Zorpound, brothers and sisters? Jews and Gentiles alike. Are you familiar with the so-called the Zorpound? ZOE. Really? Wow. I would have thought everybody's familiar with the Zorpound here. Well, they're probably not that okay, most people, okay, my one heart is familiar. Only one person familiar. Oh, good Lord. Really? Oh, wow. Out of all those people, okay, Marge is living down there in Florida. YAHAWAH, she's Levite. Okay, all right, boy, 99% don't know who the Zorpound are. All right, tap the name in there. Oh, crap, I don't have time for this, but, oh, boy, let me go quickly in there. Now, the Zorpound are a group of Haitian men, Haitian boys. Their family were refugees. They came from Haiti. And then they come here. And they were being beaten on. They were being killed because they were Haitians. Because they were black. They were being beaten every single day. Those guys can go to school without people beating them. They were being beaten by everybody, white, blacks, because they were the worst. Why? Because they had, back in the 80s, they said the so-called Haitian were the one who came with AIDS. So it was heavy upon them. And when they beat them on the street, they cry. They didn't cry to white Jesus. They cried unto their own people. And what they did, they formed a crew. And then they say, no longer we will let this happen to us. And they bounded together. They say, we are going to fight those people just like our ancestors fight our oppressors. And we're going to win. What they did, brothers, a group of gentlemen got together, young men, 14, 15, 16. They got together and they formed a crew called Zorpound. Before, it wasn't a street gang, brothers. It wasn't criminals. It was just a protection thing. When one of them got beat, and then they investigate the one person that did this, and then they go get that person. One, you never heard of that guy anymore. Or two, if you heard of him, he's in a body bag. They made it very clear. Don't touch one of us. Now, another thing start popping up. When the Zorpound formed, Zo and that it's Haitian Creole, ancient Hebrew, ancient Paleo Hebrew, which mean bones. Zo mean bones, like they are Haitian to the bone, to the core. Now, what those guys did, brothers, they were poor. They were in a part of Little Haiti. They were poor. They didn't have anything. Yeah, but Manolo Chavez says his brother was Zorpound, Haitian, one of those Haitian gang in Miami. You know what was going on in the 80s, brothers? Are you familiar? Nah, brothers, don't be telling me you're not familiar with Pablo Escobar. I don't want to say things here because we're on live. They will flag your video. Now, Pablo Escobar, brothers and sisters, for those of you, you got to catch my drift there if you didn't know this. Pablo Escobar, brothers, hold his fortune to those guys. That was in the same time Ricky Wars, all those guys. Ricky Wars was the king of the West Coast. The Zorpound were the king of the South. So what the Zorpound boys did, they didn't go to church. They didn't do anything. They call a old Haitian man, an old wise Haitian man. And then they call him. They talk to him. They say, Papi, we are being mistreated. Our people are down. And we want to lift up the people way. And he said, you have to do the same way your ancestor did. You have to pay respect on the higher one. He said, he's pissed off at you. He won't talk to you because you children disobey him. You have to go talk to his ambassadors. You have to go talk to his servants. So what those guys did, they got together, the higher Haitian Hugon. Okay, Huga is a high priest, a summer priest. They're not high. There are many different Huga. So this Huga dude came in. He performed some type of voodoo ritualistic on each of them. He put spirit protection on them, and then he gave them clairvoyance. And then those guys used to go to Port of Miami. Even before they go to the Port of Miami, brothers, they consult with this fellow, with this druid man. And this druid will perform things and he will say, okay, you will have victory, but you gotta pay. You gotta make an offering. And they will make a offering of a chicken or a goat, a sacrifice. And then those guys will go in the Port of Miami. And they will dress, everybody wear the mask, everybody with their guns. They will go there, they will kill no people. They will swagger jack the entire shipment. They will took everything. No one see them. No one know when they get there. No one know when they get out. All they saw when they get out, they saw the ship is empty. Now, if you need that good, if you need that pure of the pure, something that is unmixed, the most powerful one, you got to go to the Zo boy. And then the Zorpound start to selling this thing, brothers. They start to build the neighborhood. They start to buying houses. They start to give to their parents. They start to build. The neighborhood start to build, brothers. All the Haitians that used to live down there, their children, they were all Zos. They won't say they were all Zos. All of them were involved in this. Yeah, brother, they can tell you a true story. That's how people build that community. It was a powerful community, brothers. There were no violence, none of that. If they had to take you out, brothers, that means you did something horribly wrong. Now, our people start making money. They start pushing the whites out. They start buying their properties, pushing them out. And then they bought the whole town, the whole part of Little Haiti. They start making way more money. There's a problem. For those of you, some of you right now familiar, there is what they call a gentrification now in Haiti because they want to take it back. Those guys, they used the power that they had in their hand. They were kicking ass and taking name. How? They got they got the one of the priests that did the sacrifice, and they got another priest. This guy was the intelligence. The intelligence will come. He will say, I foreseen there is one boat coming. Take 50% of what they have, leave 50%. You take 51%, you're in trouble. And those guys would wait by the sea, and then they go in there unseen. One time, one of them got defected because he was making too much money. He went in there, he told the story, he told the secret of them. So they sent the police mounted another group of gang, and then they find them in the car, and they encircle them, and then they shoot everybody in there. And one of them just opened the door, standing right there. And they shoot him, they shoot that guy. The whole story on YouTube, they shoot him. The bullet went in and out. He didn't get hurt. The car was riddled with bullets, brothers. None of them got hurt. Because the old man Druid give each of them a feather of a chicken or something like that. Gang Ling did a story on it. Those guys caused so much trouble for the government, they had to bring the FBI to take them down. The Zorpound was building things, not even here. They were building things in Haiti, in Jamaica, in Africa. They were using the money. Well, it started to become too much for them. So they don't understand where this power is coming from because they were protected. Those guys they have another, let's say, a premonition. They will just drive in a neighborhood, and then they will just pick a house and then go inside of this house. And then they will threaten the people in there, and then they take what's need to be in there because there's something that wasn't supposed to be there. They were selling this thing. Now, old man Escobar made an alliance to these guys, and they were distributing these things all left and right, all over. Everybody that need that good goods need to come down there to the Zorboy. They were cutting into the quote-unquote the big cats over there in DC. Those guys did not like this. The same thing Rick was doing over there. Ricky Freeway was it? The same thing those guys were doing in Mississippi, Memphis, man. But they got infiltrated. When they see they could not catch those guys and the money was making, the people were accumulating wealth, they sent snitches, scumbags, suck up. They will sit dudes that act like they are you. Hey, what's up, man? And they will get in. Once you tell them the secret or you initiate them in, they went in there and tell. And then those guys went to their own priest. They do their own thing and they busted the Zorpound. They put all kind of how they call this thing again? Charges, informants. The Black Panther was doing this, then they start putting informants. And then they busted, and then they break the whole Zorpound thing. And there's much more to this story, but to tell you, this is the same thing. You do not go to, brothers, it is said there are some Levites right now that's still selling this thing. Nobody knows because they don't do it themselves. They mess with things we don't want to say here. They do things we don't want to say here. We cannot even say things here. When we have time, we'll go into the full story. You can, if somebody can find the link, you can find the videos of the Zorpound up there, and then they took the Zorpound, they turned them, they put them in the same category as Blood and Crips. Blood and Crips wasn't a gang thing. It was a protection thing for the community. Blood and Crips weren't like something people are selling drugs and stuff like that. No, it was something that they did to protect their community against police violence. Frank Lucas was paying people's rent, brothers and sisters. Frank was selling The money that he got, he paid the rent. He buy house for people. For Christmas, he came and he paid rent for the whole block. The man was respected. Yet they're turning into a monster. Now, brothers, what they did, they so smart, man. All right, brothers, I don't have the. Oh boy, I only got like 15 minutes. So let's go through this. All right. Oh boy, I really don't have time. Where we were, okay. Oh boy. All right, brothers, we really don't have the time. Let's kill this thing right fast. And when we have time, we'll go into this, brother. But we gotta be very, very careful to understand all the stories that they told you. That's not what they were. All people were dumb, make a bunch of money and buy cars and big wheels. They had the rappers come in and say this. They got guys that never been in this lifestyle and give them money, say, talk about this, talk about that. And the scumbag out there that never know anything, and then they will do this type of life thing so they can live big and show people. You have been out of your freaking mind to make $100 million and then you make like $100 million. You bought a big billboard. You write your name in and the name of your crew. You buying Lamborghinis, going to the club. The Zorpound guys were never into this. They were all about accumulating wealth for their own people. Now they had snitches, dudes do these things and people will copy them, and then they messed up the whole game, man. Anyway. All right, let's go in there. Now the priest, okay, the priest. We'll talk about this anytime we have time for this. And his prayer, I could see the priest was praying, okay, and his prayer, I could see that he elevated his noble countenance to the heavens, as if in his mind mentally overlooked the inanimate statue before him, and directing his thoughts to the invisible and supreme dweller. So this high priest, which was one of the priests of Melchizedek priesthood, okay, so he was, oh crap, oh boy, oh god damn, man, give me a second, oh sheesh, oh boy. I just bought this chair, man. Cheap thing, man. That thing freaking break. Cheap ass. Whatever. A cheap thing. So he was praying and stuff. They could see that he was talking with an invisible being. I could perceive now, okay, that we had conversed so much together upon the divine things that he was worshiping in the depth of his heart, the God of gods, wherever that dread and mighty power is enthroned on the height of his universe and on the wings of the imagination can go out to him and find him. Now, Sesostris say, he saw the way this dude was worshiping, the way he was doing things. He said, this guy, he's conversing to the God that Moses was telling him. Okay. The great invocatory prayer ended. The high priest received from Remisiv a votive crystal box of the fragrant Ameracin ointment, a gift so costly and precious that only the princes and the priests are permitted to possess it. On ointment, brothers. Like we had coconuts here. The beloved sister blessed us with that coconut. Okay, she's selling coconuts for those of you who want coconuts. But when the prayer was done, Moses came in and gave the priest ointment called Ameracin ointment. Only the prince and the high priest are allowed to have it. When he just opened it, the whole room, the whole place, you can smell the sweet. It smells so good, brother. It's so the whole people like, damn. You can smell the fragrance miles away. Some other interesting. This is page 132. Let me see. We got 2 more pages, then we're good. I'm going pretty fast. Some other interesting ceremonies follow, such as consecrating and presenting a sword to the prince, and the touching of the altar by all the chief with the prince, the weapon in the past, descending to the field, the high priest sprinkling each other of them with sacred water from the Nile. Okay, so now when they were doing this performance, all the soldiers, all the big men, they came in and they point their sword downward in a circle. Again, then all of them touched the altar and then left. And then the priest will sprinkle the water of the Nile on them, just like our priests used to sprinkle blood on our brothers when they go to war, the blood of the sacrifice, or sprinkle it on the Ark of the Covenant. All those things to Christian, this is witchcraft. But to the Most High, that's what he did. That's what written in the other books and the Bible. Okay, they will sprinkle the Nile of the water on them and bless them and give them good lucks and stuff. That's what it was. The last act of sacrifice, for though bloodless, the Egyptian termed the whole rite a sacrifice to the god, was by remises. Okay, so they weren't using blood; they were using the water. The the high priest placed in his hand a censer for the prince by virtue of his rank, a royal priest, and remises accepted. So they give remises a censer. Where's my censer? I had it there. Oh boy, where's that thing? I haven't seen it for a while. So Moses started doing the censer with the smoke and things like that. While Moses was doing this, at this moment, the most sacred one of the whole scene there appeared, advancing from the pavilion temple, a beautiful maiden, the daughter of the high priest. While Moses was doing the whole answers and the smoke slowly moving, and then in the distance, they saw beautiful women coming, singing. She was the daughter of the high priest. She was arrayed in a pure white robe, with floating about her in the wind like a cloud. Over her shoulders was thrown a crimson scarf, in which was embroidered the cartouche of the god. Her rich flowing hair was bound about her stately brow by a crown of the flowers, and above which rose a silver helm with a crest of emeralds and sapphires, an imitation of the feathery coronet of the bird paradise. Her face was wonderfully beautiful. Her dark eyes beamed with love and joy, and her form was the impersonation of grace. I got these beautiful women came in and start singing and slowly dancing. For those of you, do you remember that movie 300? Remember when Leonidas was going to war? Again, you don't go to war like that, brothers. There are other forces out there you can't see. You have to go to a high priest. All cultures does that, except for us. We will not go to the Musa. We'll go to the church and pray. We don't go to war. We don't want to go. We want peace. We want peace. No, it doesn't work like that. In 300, yes, he went to the oracle. And those high priests over there, ugly as they were, they had wives. They had virgins. And you got the virgins came in there and dancing and stuff. And then the spirit, quote unquote, the Holy Spirit flew unto her and she prophesied. And the prophecy told Leonidas, don't go to war, which Leonidas did not go to war. He didn't go to war. He took 300 of his own bodyguard and then he go in there and fight them. He left the army there because the oracle said, if you go to war, you will lose. And Leonidas took 300 of his bodyguard and went and fight them personally. He didn't go to war. All those things, brothers, they are protocols. That is why our people, and again, we know the so-called Spartans were the tribe of Dan, the tribe of Dan. You know, all this. So our people, he went to the Druids and then tell them, and then they put some crap in there, and then then the Messiah tell them, don't go to war. Because I will not give you victory and stuff like that. Anyway, the whole thing. So as she advanced, the priests on either side drew back with their hands crossed upon their foreheads. So the inferior priests, not the high priests, were there and their hands were crossed. And when she came in, and then they all backed up with their hand upon their head. Our people do this. The priests, the Levite priests, Moses died like this, Aaron died like that, but the Egyptian, they do it like this or like that upon that. Well, most likely like this. It's brothers. This is just like everything was given in the beginning. It's just passing on through. Nobody truly invented everything. The Most High did. He taught everything. Now, brothers, the Most High did things like that, brothers, so people would say he didn't give those Gentiles a chance. He did. Just like he gave quote unquote Lucifer a chance and said, my son Lucifer, repent, come back to me, apologize, and I will let you in. Lucifer cursed him out. He said, oh, you? I'm a God myself. I don't need you. He gave him a chance, brothers. So when people see in this last day things are happening, so they won't say, well, the Most High, he never did it. He never gave the Gentiles a chance and stuff. He did. He gave them many things, many chances. All right, brothers, let's move a little bit faster. We got 2 more pages. Coming forward between the 2 walls of official, she shook in the air above her head a small temple bell called the sistrum. I have no idea what that is. Anybody know what the sistrum is? When she got in the middle, she had a little bell. She shook it. She ding 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 ding, which made a beautiful musical tone and stuff. Which remind me of that book that my sister tell me to read called The Smoky God. When that guy went into the end of the earth and meet the civilization that was there, and then he was hearing a beautiful song coming from the boat. The song. Anyway, I don't have time for this right now. This little musical instrument is sacred to the services of the temples, and the sound of it on the signature for the beginning of every in and every rite. So this little bell that she has is very sacred. It's called a sistrum. Only the daughter of the high priest and the queen can hold this and ring it. That is how sacred it is. And it can only be ring by one person at a lifetime. If this princess, or not princess, if this woman, the daughter of the priest, is the one that do this, she's gonna do that for the rest of her life. Once she die, he's gonna pass it on to another person. That's how pure it is. Well, at least that's what I'm hearing here. In ancient times, so great was the privilege of holding the sacred sistrum in the temple, it was given to the queens, and of great occasion, Amensi has performed in his high office. So Amensi, the mother of Moses, so to speak, Jochebed is the biological mother, but Amensi is somewhat the Egyptian mother. Okay? So now, they give, and this page is just, brothers, it's a son writing to his mother. The mother keep asking the son, okay, what about the women over there? So you're not gonna, the way you are telling me, yeah, we know all about the men, but what about the women? Well, what's you're not gonna get yourself a young woman and board her here and stuff and things. There's a reason the mother is like hunkering him. He's gonna tell the mother, yeah, well, I know what you're doing, but you have to read through the letter to understand. All mom does this when they don't like a certain person that you with now. They will ask you, okay, while you're in there, can you just grab one and then bring it here and bring me grandchildren? So, okay, those women in there that used to, and the Egyptian temple, brothers, they say all the high priests have wives. They were called virgins of. There are women serving in the temple. There are even more women than men serving in the temple. They were called them virgins of the sun. That is why the Levites, they are allowed to have wives. That is why the priesthood of Mahan, they are not allowed to have wives or women at all. Women are, to them in their eyes, are impure. Don't do it with the women. It will be pure if you do it with the men. That's their motto. They don't speak about things like that, but they do that a lot. That's why those priesthood of Mahan, they like little boys so much. They like men. Women is kind of like ill to them. And when the Mosai tell you it's that has nothing to do with impurity, you and your wife doing what the good Lord intended you to do to her. When you do something with your wife or with any women, this is not impurity. There's nothing dirty about it. The churches, the religion, they make this natural act of the God of the Mosai. They made it dirty. They're like, oh, ew, you are with the women and stuff. Oh my God, you can't touch anything here and stuff. That has nothing to do with being pure and stuff. Pure is only in your heart. That's not it. People think like, oh, well, I did something with me wife or with this woman and I'm not pure anymore. Or if you lose your quote unquote your that etiquette in your oven, and if you break the etiquette in the oven, you're not pure anymore. That has nothing to do with you're not pure in the eyes of the Lord. What? Some women they do karate or they ride horses or they get into some accident, they lost their hymen. That doesn't mean they are not pure. That has nothing to do with the Most High created you so you can multiply and be fruitful. So when you use that fruitful thing down there, that has nothing to do with dirty or this is a natural act. The Most High wants you to do this. That is why he said in the kingdom there will be so many of us, but they made it impure. But those priests over there, they had wives. They had wives. Mm-hmm. So he's talking about the ladies of the land. They have so much jewelry and all that stuff and things like that. So after all that performance by that beautiful maiden, the daughter of the high priest, then Ramesses chanted a few sting words of this national and sacred war hymn. The high priest answered. The maiden clear voices wrote in the melodious solo. The 100 priests caught up the ravishing strain as it, page 134, as it melted from her lips and the skies. And again, the great army uttered its voice. My heart was oppressed by the sublimity. Tears of emotion filled my eyes. I never was more deeply impressed with the majesty of the human voice, united in a vast multitude, uttering as the voice of one man. The combined voices of the human races is such a thing could speak. We must be like the voice of God when he speak. So they were chanting. And the voice was so beautiful. When Sesostris heard that, he said, man, this is so beautiful. If we can all at once talk and one accord, that must be how God sounds like. Remember YAHAWAH, the scumbag, our people, the tutor keep asking Moses, give us proof, the Mosai is here. Yeah, he split the sea and all that. Give us proof, we want to see him. And then the Mosai talked to them for like over 2 hours. They almost died. The voice of the Mosai is so powerful. The voice of many waters. And then they run to Moses. They told Moses, please, tell the Mosai never ever talk to us again, because if he did, we're going to die. That was so powerful, because they were hawking and heckling the Moses and the Mosai. Scumbag, man. Those people got us into so many trouble. All right, let's see. All right, so now, brothers, again, they made their sacrifice, they sing, and then now they're ready to go to war. Now they're ready to go to war. That's how you do it, brethren. Okay? Now, page 134, we got page 135, and then we're done. I'm just going to touch on that because it's kind of it's optional. So just to show you the preparation and the custom and the routine. All right, let's read this, and then we're going to get a little bit on there. So the invocation and sacrifices were over. Okay, Ramesses embraced the priest and thanked him, and receiving his blessing. In a few minutes, every chief captain had joined in his battalion, And at the cry of trumpets and cornets sounded all the plain and echoed from back to Cheops or Cheops. The whole host forming column to march. Ramesses and I, being in his company, galloped forward and took a position of an elevation from which he reviewed the whole army and is trampled by. The fleet was in parallel motion at the same time, and I saw the splendid galley of the Prince Moeris, the scumbag, which is colored silk and sails and golden beak gallantly ascending to the river. So now you got the whole armies marching now. You got the footmen, you got the chariotmen, and you got the galleys, the navy. The navy on the river moving, a part of the Marines. And we got, well, they didn't get out of Air Force back then, but you got all the armies they were moving toward, and then they went to meet that Ethiopian king for war. He stood up on the poop deck, a tame lion crouched by his side, and the tawny shoulders in which he rested on one foot and gazed at us. So Moeris, he always have a tame lion with him, and then he put one foot in the poop deck, and then he was passing back. And then he saw Ramesses, aka Moses. He saw Ramesses and Moses, and he saw Ramesses and Sesostris, and he's just watching them, and then he's slowly passing by, and then he's watching them until the boat gone by. So now, this is the description of the men, the armies. The division of cavalry was the last in moving, and trotted past us in splendid array. Beautiful battle formation. This arm of the service is not large, nor much relying on Egypt. The chariots of iron and the hubs of which terrible scythes. Okay? Scythes. The scythes are like a weapon. Well, not a weapon. It's like an agriculture. You know the Grim Reaper, right? You see that giant knife thing, the Grim Reapers, that giant knife things. So, well, that's what they call a size, or so to speak. All right. Which terrible size are sometimes fastened on the eve of battle, and the bowmen and spearmen have always been the main dependence of the king in the wars. That is true. You see, the bowmen and the spearmen, they're all the most important, because you always want to, the bowman can shoot the bow. The spearman or javelin man can throw it. You always need projectile. You want to kill your enemy before he get close to you. That is why when Egypt go to war, they always massacre the enemy afar. Even before the enemy reached them, they threw their arrows and killed them, and javelins and killed them. You know, you really don't want to fight your enemy, face to face like that. Ethiopia, against which his great army is moving by water and land, in a state of civilization and political power, not greatly inferior of Egypt. So Ethiopia wasn't that bad. They were bad, but not that bad. You know, they were. It has a vast city, noble temples, extensive cultivated regions, adorned with palaces and villas. It has its gorgeous but semi-barbaric court, a well-disciplined army, and skillful generals. So the Ethiopians were a formidable foe. They were good. And religion, it is idolatry. So they were idolaters, unlike the Egyptians, which were freaking idolaters too. But the one that were idolaters were the ignorant one. But the one that knew the power, the high priest, they worshiped the true God. That is why, and when Pharaoh was keep telling them, they told Pharaoh, listen, you cannot touch those people. Those people belong to the higher power. He killed those priests, and then he has his own priest. He bring his own priest, and he brought adultery unto Egypt. That's how the Musa ended up, destroying him. So the Egyptian army is divided into sections, formed and distinguished according to the arms they bear. They consist, like ours, of bowmen, again, spearmen, swordsmen, macemen, slingers, and other corps. So all of those are army. That's why Egypt has armies of them, okay? There are captains of thousands, captains of hundreds, captains 50s and 10s. When in battle array, the heavy foot soldiers or infantry armed with spears, and a falcon. A falcon is a giant mother-loving sword. Michael is known to carry a falcon. When Joshua was crossing to take the city of Jericho, Michael is the one that pulled his falcon and then shoot like a missile, an energy beam that hit the Jericho wall and crushed the wall. Michael had a falcon in the book of the Throne of David. For those of you who remember. Okay, spears and falcon and other similar weapon are drawn up in the form of impenetrable phalanx. It is said, brothers, the rank of the Egyptian army where they were formed, their shield, you could not break onto it. You can ram a freaking boulder in there. You cannot break their rank. That's a strong battle formation. Okay, again. Those people were trained by Abraham, ruled by Melchizedek, so this is stuff like that. So this is the wall, the strength of the shield, presenting a wall of huge shields lapping and interlocking, resting on the ground and reaching to their heads, the missile of the foe rattling against it as against the shield shifted side one of the battleships. So the Egyptians, they can form a wall with their shield. All the missile, all the arrows that you shoot, they will just hit the shield and then rattling. They can break into it. That's how good their stuff were. We get into the last page. You can read this. I'm gonna read this right quick. Page 136. He is distinguished by gold. That's the general. He is distinguished by a gold necklace collar, in which are represented two lion and eagle, emblem of courage. The troops are summoned to all movement by the sound of the trumpet and the long drum with other instruments. Okay. The offensive. Okay, the Egyptians, they got offensive team, defensive team, rescue, and reserve. The offensive is in front. When they get attacked, they withdrew, and the defensive come and defend them. And then while the offensive is recuperating, and then they are getting medical treatment and stuff like that, getting prepared, and then drink some water, sharpen the sword, and then they switch back. That's how they fight. All right. Now, they say something very important here, brothers. And then we're done. I will now end this long letter, my dear mother, and my description of Egyptians' army by naming the nations of which it was made up. This is very important. Egyptians were made up of a bunch of other nations. They weren't purely bred Egyptians. There was a bunch of people that come from other places. They come in the capital. They call themselves Egyptians, just like America, so to speak. As I sat upon my horse by the side of the prince, surveying the marching columns as they moved southward, I distinguished the tall, Asiatic-looking Charitanian by his helmet, ornament with bullhorn and red ball by a crest, his round shield and large earrings, and fierce race once the foe, but now allies of Egypt. So those tall, Asiatic-looking Charitanian, they were the foe of Egypt. Now Egypt subdued them. Now they serve in the army of Egypt. The bearded Tokarai, from beyond the horns of the Arabian Sea, armed with a pointed knife and short, straight sword, with arc nose, eagle eyes, also once enemy of the queen, but now added to her armies. An unknown people with tall caps, short kilts, and knife girdle of lion's hide, and amulet of agate in the neck and every man. Strangers, with wild, restless eyes and fierce look, the Swadi Rebos. Swadi mean black. So the black Rebos, with his naked breasts and shoulders and long, through-headed javelin. The Puhunti, with faces painted with vermilion and crossbow with irons, headed around archers that never miss their ranks. So the marks. So the Puhunti were archers. They never miss. Those guys never miss. And they got iron-headed arrows, archers that never miss their marks. Those guys will not miss you. They're matched by also the relentless Sharai, who neither ask nor give quarter to their enemies. Those guys don't ask for mercy and they don't give mercy. They'll kill you. Their masses of black hair bounded up and filled of leather and skull caps of bull hides in their heads, whose weapons are clubs and short daggers. Other bands differing in costume and appearance and continue to pass until seems that the queen army had in representative all nations tributary to Egypt. So they had a bunch of other nations. They were Egyptian, but they were tributaries. Continue with Ramesses a day march. I then parted from him to return to the place, to the palace, promising as soon as I had seen Lower Egypt, I will ascend the Nile and meet him in Thebes. Farewell, dear mother. May the gods of our country preserve your health. All praises to the Most High, brothers and sisters. All praises. Let us elaborate on that. All praises to the Most High. All praises. The Most High is great, and thank you for bringing us this type of information and knowledge. Now you understand, brothers, when you are hearing those people are pulling troops out of Afghanistan, no, they are getting them ready. They are about to do their little ceremony called the priests and pray for them. And the best people to pray for them is us. That is why they're always pushing to us and pray for them, and stuff like that. They want our power to work for them. And you already know that what will happen now. It will not work. It won't work. Now you understand, every time you're going to go to battle, and then you have to pray to the Most High first and ask him for victory. Talking about that, we have a beloved sister, Sister Victoria. She's going into a court battle. She didn't go by herself. She asked the nation to pray on their behalf, asked the Most High to give her victory. That's how you do it. One sister had a work comp problem, a work comp, so to speak. She called upon the Most High, upon the name of the Most High before she go to the court. They give her victory. I believe the beloved brother Irifam, call upon the Most High before going to battle. Even he get to the battle, the enemy submit unto him. They give him what he wants. You have to call them. You got the power now. When you're going to war, when you go into war, brothers, you always call the Most High first. You don't go by yourself. You claim victory in the name of the Most High. You call the Most High and tell the Most High, your son, your daughter has an issue. I'm going to the court. I'm going to this. Grant me victory, Father. Should I have victory? Don't get involved in a battle before you even ask the Most High. We have one sister call. She got people at her work giving her trouble, and she wants us to pray against it. And I asked the sister, please, beloved sister, before you ask us to do these things, make sure you give this person every possible way to save that person. Make sure you do everything to avoid it, not to do any, not letting the Most High do anything, because the power that you wielded is very powerful. You don't use this power based on emotion, brothers and sisters. If you're having a problem at home, it's emotional. Pray upon it first. Give that person a chance, because the moment you set up those prayer, brothers, that's it for this person. That's it. That is why one of the quote-unquote women, she thought she was our nation. She keep coming upon the loin of the Most High. We pray against her. She's a lunatic now. The Most High doesn't play that. Friar brain. A lot of brothers that used to come upon the loin of the Most High humiliated them. Make sure whoever you are in beef with, make sure it's worth it. Make sure it's worth it. Make sure it's worth it, because the power that you wield is very powerful. Understand this, brothers. The so-called Gentiles, they don't go like that. They don't just go places and start wars. There are a lot of sacrifices. There are a lot of things that go into place behind the scene, closed door, we don't know about. Stop listening to conspiracy theories. Those people don't read anything. They don't do research. They don't ask for anything. They're just telling you like little aliens and stuff. Stuff like, stop doing this, man. Stop letting those people telling you what happened. They are your enemies. They are the people that put you into this. Don't listen to them. You are not in the situation that they are in right now. Nothing is coming after you. It's coming after them. Be very careful, brothers. Be very careful. Now you understand, every time every single nation on this planet, when they are going to war, they call upon their gods. Why don't you do that? Why don't you call upon the Most High? We give you an example of the Zorpound. What the Zorpound boys did, they give those people hell. The Zorpound give them hell because they were connected to what their ancestors were doing, which is doubt as evil now. They give them a lot of hell. Oh, Big Judah just uploaded a video. All praises to the Most High, brothers. Okay, we're about to leave here. We'll give it a little bit moment, and then we will watch the beloved brother Big Judah video. Now, before we go, brothers and sisters, is everybody clear on battle preparation before you go to war? Any country, brothers, they don't just sit there and go to war. There's a lot of sacrifices that goes, things you don't know, a lot of preparation. There are certain things, certain spirits they call upon. That is why you cannot fight those guys like that. That is why when they shoot you in the street, you cannot fight them. They call upon certain spirits. You have to understand, when you're going to go against an enemy, you call the Most High, you fast, you pray, you repent, you made a sacrifice to the Most High. When I say sacrifice, not killing a beast and animal. It is saying in the Psalm, when you pray, when you wave your hand, when you pray with your mouth, you are burning incense. When you wave your hand, you are committing sacrifice to the Most High. You have to do this, man, before you go into a battle with somebody else. Yeah, somebody at your work giving you trouble, pray against this person. To hell with that person, man. I've been warning you for years. You don't listen. To hell with you. Now, brothers and sisters, by the power of the Most High vested in me, it's very sad I couldn't cover everything in there, but I'll do my best because I had to go pick up my beloved mother at 10. So, brothers, be at peace. Always study. Look for the Most High's face. He will show his face to you. Ask him. Ask the Most High to teach you. Ask the Holy Spirit how she can teach you how to please the Most High. Right now, we please the Most High by studying together. Everybody's in there. We clear out the trolls and stuff. We do good things. The Most High love that, okay? Please, brothers and sisters, forgive me for the time. You know, that old dog, he always got a bunch of things to do. So tomorrow, brothers, is the 15th. We are fasting. Which one of you is fasting with the nation? All praises to the Most High. Which one of you is fasting to repent for your sin, brothers? Like we said, brethren, you have to repent. Your sin accumulated over the 400 years or whatever years you've been alive. Fast and pray. Fast and pray for the other brothers that can't fast and praise. Repent on their behalf. Do something for the Most High, brothers. All right, that is good. Tomorrow is our fast day, and we are going to fast and pray, brothers. We love all of you. You know, I wish I could stay for another hour and a half and make this 3 hours, but we have a lot of things going on. We couldn't even read a couple of the emails. So I will let you folks go. Everybody that are here, go to Big Judah and watch his video. All praises to the Most High YAHAWAH. May the King reign forever. Shalom.